Ladies and gentlemen, we got ourselves a show. Sorry for the delay. We have no music, we have no bells and whistles, but we are live. It is Thursday. Tomorrow is payday. I know for many of you it is too, and that's a good thing coming off this summer. Um, I don't know, man. Like this game just really beat me up, and I'm not gonna really lie about it. I'm pretty pissed off as a Jet fan. There is no pot of gold at the end of the crap rainbow right now, and the only thing that we can hope is that Aaron Rodgers is on the sidelines this weekend, and he's talking to Zach, and somehow he just like goes full Tebow, and God blesses him or something. Like that's the best thing that we can hope for right now, because the game that needed to be won was this past Sunday. You are going to play Mahomes, and then yeah, you could beat the Broncos. Absolutely, you could beat the Broncos. And then you got to go play the Eagles, and you got the Dolphins coming up, and the whole thing, right? But to stay the course, you had to beat the Patriots, and you're at home, and you only give up 13 points. The two from the safety, yes, I know, but I'm not going to count those as giving up defensive points. And you can't close this out for your fans. It's just the same story as last year. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lighten the mood a little bit, and I'm going to bring Liz in, I'm going to bring Kevin in. They're going to tell your experiences about the game before I come back in and lay into this team. So, Liz, I'm going to add you in here. Kevin, I got you in here too. You guys paid the money to go out there and sit in the rain. And obviously, we always know the tailgates are a fun experience at the stadium. And honestly, for the whole time that I've been going to Jet games, the tailgate experience has been the best part of the whole day. Uh, and you tell us how you did, what you did, who you met, who you talked to, what was the vibe, and then how was the game?
Yeah, I'll definitely say, yeah, probably for a decade, over a decade, the tailgates have been the best part of going to the games, unfortunately. But what I will say is that obviously we talked to a lot of fans in the stadiums, and a lot of fans after the stadium, whether it's on social media or just in general. And while I do agree that the level of frustration with the offense is about the same, those at the game, literally from the first snap to the last snap, I will say watching in the stadium, especially after what happened week one with the big Gibson punt return to kind of pull that game out, this was one of those games where while you're sitting in the stands, you feel like that same magic is going to happen, especially when we pulled up 13-10, we got that touchdown, and you felt like we are one Brees Hall big run, one Garrett Wilson, where just like the Dallas game where he shook the defender and was gone, a pick six, a big sack, a special teams play. We even had a couple good returns. I think Gibson got it out to the 40 one time in the fourth, where it was like, man, if he could slip one guy, we were going to pull this out just like the Buffalo game. And there wasn't a play. I mean, we haven't had a sack in 2 weeks. We don't have any interceptions the last couple weeks. We didn't have any takeaways this game where there wasn't that big standout play that kind of shifted momentums. We had a couple that almost shifted things where it was just some quick threes and outs. But I think the whole stadium was on the verge of really going wild if we got that play. I think they were ready to go. I think Fireman Ed, Scott Mulry, Jetman were all doing the best they could for a very frustrated crowd. But we never got that one back-breaking play that put the nail in the coffin where we leapfrogged and took the lead for the first time and felt like now we just lean on the defense and pull this game out. We just didn't have that moment. At least that's how I felt. I had a little bit of hope from the beginning whistle to the last whistle that we would get the one play at home that we needed. So, Liz, I don't know how you felt watching the game or talking to other Jet fans, but I felt like, man, we were right there.
Right. I felt that prior to the game, I do a lot of social media, and speaking to the crowd, speaking to the fans before the game, at the very beginning of the game, I felt that we were maybe, as a whole, 60 to 70% of the crowd really felt like we can really do this. We're going to win this game. We are going to beat the Patriots for the first time in how many times? We don't even want to talk numbers with that. But I really felt that the crowd was pumped. The crowd was excited. It is such a roller coaster of emotions from the minute you walk in the door, and then when you leave and you don't walk away with the W. It's just so frustrating. But Daniel, I have great news for you. I have been practicing, and I think I'm ready. So I'm going to go in there, got my special Good Morning America football, and I'm going to go in there, and I think I'm going to tell Saleh, listen, you need me. And I'm going to be a mom, and I'm going to say, don't you tackle me. I'm going to throw this ball all the way down to Garrett Wilson, and I think we're going to do it. So I'm ready. Put me in, coach.
It can't be worse. It can't be worse.
Laces out, Dan. Oh, sorry. Wrong team. What can I say? I have confidence in Zach. You never know. Maybe a miracle could happen. Maybe Aaron got in his ear and said, listen, you got to be me. You got to channel your inner Aaron, and something good has to happen. So, we got somebody that they played a really good game at the end of the season last year, this team that's coming in this weekend. And, they had a good game, whatever. So, I don't know. I think we can take them. We got positive thoughts equal positive outcomes. What do you think, Daniel? You excited?
He doesn't even want to come off mute. You see him? He's like, rubbing. I'm going to stay on mute.
Listen to me. This has been, I knew from the very first snap what was going to happen. And even though you guys still had that feeling and the crowd had that feeling, you also knew there was another piece of you that felt like this is just not going to happen.
Here we go again.
And the reason why I knew that this wasn't going to happen was because they just couldn't put anything together. And honestly, it wasn't even like, oh man, it's the offensive line. It's this, guys aren't open. Of course, the Patriots did a really good job in coverage, right? They have that new cornerback they have. It's Christian. I forgot his name. It's something Christian. He's done very well. People are really high on him. He did well on Garrett Wilson, but Garrett Wilson was open in this game. Many people were open in this game. And a lot of times people are open in passing. So when you guys have crossing routes and you have slants and different things like that, I remember them just showing replay after replay of receivers open and Zach being hesitant and not getting rid of the ball. Now, for the first time in 3 games, I think the offensive line in pass blocking actually did pretty well, and they would have been graded higher if Zach Wilson didn't hold the ball. So you have guys like ABT, who is graded 80, McGovern in pass blocking, which, Kevin, you know how I feel about McGovern. 48 was his grade. Becton 61, Tomlinson 73. And then we also had tight ends that blocked well, like Uzama was 73 in his blocking, and his run blocking was 88. And then you had Tippmann, who was graded around 85. So the offensive line as a passing unit took a step up, except for McGovern, who I didn't even want to come back to this team whatsoever. But the way I look at it is McGovern needs to be kicked out to guard, in my opinion, because he can't pass block. Now, run blocking is a little different. His grade is 75. And we knew this, Kevin, going into this season, because we spoke about how McGovern is a better running center than he is a passing center. But a lot of the mistakes that Zach put himself in wasn't the offensive line. He was even pulling himself into pressure. He was checking down into pressure at least twice in this game. And once in particular really pissed me off watching the game. is he checked into a running play, which I don't know if there was a running play prior, but he moved it to the right side where it's a 5-3 defender offensive lineman count. Like, you have to count the bodies and realize there's not enough blockers out there. And what is Breece Hall going to do with that? Now, I'm looking at the grades, and yeah, Tomlinson didn't grade well in run. Becton was pretty even across the board. But there was enough there in technique for these guys to be able to get going. But no one respects the quarterback. Nobody. And nobody especially respects the quarterback when the coordinator doesn't even respect the quarterback. And they're playing this vanilla offense that doesn't seem any different from anything that we've seen with Zach Wilson. And they take no chances down the field at all, to be honest. So for me, watching this kid play was very frustrating, and I don't blame him. I do not blame Zach Wilson, because you know why? He wasn't even supposed to be playing this year. He really wasn't. He was supposed to do what's happening with Trey Lance in Dallas, where you're just kind of out there, but you got Cooper Rush, and then you got your main guy, Dak. That's what it should have been. But because they wanted to coddle this kid's ego so much that they couldn't make him a developmental quarterback, why not? Trey Lance was a high pick too. It happens. You played bad. You were benched for Chris Streveler. Did we really think that within a couple months that this kid was going to turn it on and just become a different quarterback? Of course not. Now, he's different at the podium, so I got to give him credit for being a grown man, because that's what he is. We got to stop using this kid stuff. He's making millions of dollars for $1 billion league. When I was his age, I was married, working in a prison, owning a home, living a grown adult life. He's not a kid. He's not a kid. He's a grown man in his third year. And it doesn't mean he can't struggle, because I've seen even the best of the best struggle, but he always struggles. And it doesn't matter. What about the talent that we got and that we have? Garrett Wilson is a non-factor. The tight ends, non-factor. Lazard, non-factor. Hardman, he doesn't even play. So that I'd like to know what the coaches are doing there, but he doesn't even play. And then we're going to put everything I'm seeing on the defense. They give up 13 points. You know the rule, 17. The rule is 17. That's the rule in the NFL, and that all the media people talk about all the time. If you give up 17 or less, you should win most games. 13 points. And if you look at it, because you go to the score, okay? Second quarter, there's a field goal. 10-play, 42-yard drive. Then it's punt, 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 punt. Kevin, say it with me. Punt, punt. That's what the Jets defense did. They made the Patriots punt on every drive after that last field goal, except for the safety. So don't tell me the Jets defense didn't give this offense a chance. They gave them plenty of chances. And you know what? If Zach Wilson was aware of where he was on the goal line and got rid of the ball quickly, maybe those last drives that the Jets defense made the Patriots punt, maybe you're kicking to tie the game instead of needing a touchdown. Like we didn't see that before last year as well. So I'm fed up with this. And I'm more pissed off for the people that go every week, that are locals, that can make it every week, and that spend a ton of money, and the parking pass is more and the tickets are more, and you go out and you give me Trevor Siemian. That disrespectful nature of going out there and getting Trevor Siemian, because you still want to coddle this grown man's psyche while every other grown man in that locker room has to suffer. Garrett Wilson's career has to suffer. You know, you don't just make up your youth, right? Your first 2-3 years in the league when you're supposed to be on fire. These guys are missing out on opportunities. And because Sauce Gardner drops one football in coverage, which it's a broken up play, we're going to put it on him. We're going to blame the whole game on one busted coverage. We talked about this last year, Kevin. And what did we say? The defense has to be damn near perfect to be able to get any type of credit. Well, they don't blitz. They gave up 13 points. You want them to blitz and be even more exposed and have a play breakdown, and now they're coming back from 21 down. They're trying to protect this team because they have no offense. And now they can't even run the ball. Now they can't even run the ball because no one respects this team. And they're allowing Zach Wilson to have one-on-one matchups that are not hitting. And then what they're doing is they're faking, and then they're dropping back into zone, and then he's taking too long, and then he's even getting sacked, so then the offensive line gets blamed. Can we just blame Joe Douglas, Robert Saleh, and I'm not even going to blame Zach Wilson. He's just not good enough because they should have had a backup that was good enough to come in here. And we knew that, and we just bought the magic. We bought it all. Oh no, he's nothing. That's not going to happen. If anything, Zach's going to play maybe 2-3 games at most. We should have known better, Kevin. We're Jet fans, Liz. We should have knew this was going to happen because this is what happens. Are we not Met fans, Liz? Do we not know what happens? Did we not just see it happen again this year? Expectations fall on face, sell everybody off. I'm sick of it. Does that mean I'm not going to be sitting in front of my TV with my Jets coat and my hat ready to go? Of course I am. I do this show. I could be hanging out with my family. Kevin could be flying across international waters. Liz could be meeting the next biggest actor right now. But we're sitting here talking about the New York Jets and Zach Wilson. Like I am the Black Bill Murray. This is Groundhog's Day. This is Flight Day. And I'm just spinning around in circles. And I'm tired. So, Kevin, what do you think about the Trevor Siemian move? Do you think he can even push Zach Wilson for a spot to play unless Zach Wilson completely come off the rails? What do you guys think about that sign before we get into anything else?
I think there's been a lot of, and this almost, I hate to use this name. Jets fans are going to cringe. But when there's like a lot of moves that don't make sense to me, I always go back to when we had Gase, right? And Frank Gore kept playing. And there was just personnel things that like just didn't make sense, right? Why are they on the field? And why is this guy not on the field, right? And one of the names I think Guru brought up earlier was, Tippmann finally played. It took 3 games and we had a crappy offensive line and we stick in Tippmann, and Tippmann had a hell of a game, right? And Guru just went through the blocking scores. He was our number 1, blocking offensive line. And you're like, man, we could have used that against Dallas's defense, right? But I look across and it's like Hardman's not playing. Izzy, the running back from Pitt's not playing. Ruckert at tight end is not playing. Like, do we not need speed? Do we not need athleticism? Do we not need other players that can win one-on-one? And we're playing these very old, what has Azuma done, right? What has Cobb done other than drop ball after ball or miss blocks in the run game last week? Like the one thing, obviously we lost Rodgers, but we're still putting out all the players that Rodgers preferred, right? We're still running Cook. We're still running Cobb out there. And we need guys who can win one-on-one magic against some of these defensive matchups. And Cobb's not that guy. Will he be where Rodgers wants him to sit in the zone and do some of those things and have good rapport? And yeah. But now we got to start adjusting to Zach. And I still see the coaches making decisions that just don't line up with what we need and the personnel that we have now. We need guys like Hardman. We need guys like Rucker. We need to get younger, faster, and we have the players sitting on our bench. We don't have a defensive end with a sack since week 1. Well, McDonald can't even be active. Right? We have an athletic, speedy, Jason Taylor-like prospect, and we're like, nah, we're okay not getting sacks against Mac Jones. That's the second worst offensive line in the NFL. We just played after only ours, and we had no sacks. I mean, come on. Our defensive ends are not getting to the quarterback, and I'm not saying that that's why we lost. But as a coach, you got to evaluate these things and be like, Clemens is playing 40 snaps and not getting close to the quarterback. Then why is he in on passing downs? Huff is number 3 in quarterback hurries after Franklin Myers, after Richardson. After Quinnen Williams. Quinnen Williams and Franklin Myers leads the team in pressures on the quarterback. And third is Huff. Huff's getting 15 snaps. Jermaine Johnson and Clemens are getting 50 snaps and getting nowhere near the quarterback. So why isn't Huff getting in the game? In Kansas City, they've allowed 1 sack for the whole season. The whole season they've given up 1 sack. Do you know who their quarterback is? Are we all familiar with their quarterback? Do you think we have any chance if we don't sack him and he just gets to sit back there? He's pretty good. Like, Mahomes is kind of all right at playing quarterback. So this whole thing when Simeon went down was just another one of those things like, did the Boyle decision make a lot of sense? Or should we have brought back a Josh Johnson or Jacoby Brissett or, maybe another quarterback that fits the system, right? Maybe a guy who could play a little bit. Simeon, it's funny. And I'm not saying I'm glad we didn't bring Kaepernick back. But Kaepernick was in the league the last time Trevor Simeon won a football game. So just like everybody's like, oh, Kaepernick can't play. Well, yes, Simeon has played, but he hasn't won a game since the last year Kaepernick was in the. So when you're like, oh, he can just play, like, no, he's been playing, right? So the Jets, to me, I do believe what U Stadium said is that Woody Johnson literally a month ago handed Aaron Rodgers $75 million in cash, and he's paying Wilson $10 million. And I know this isn't your money. I get it. But if you just cut $85 million for Aaron Rodgers and Zach Wilson, you're kind of like, guys, you picked. And I know Saleh and Joe Douglas, I see fans all the time, even in the stadium. I was like, all right, you're mad. Well, who are you going to hold accountable for Zach Wilson playing, right? Saleh and Joe Douglas picked him. Now they have to play the guy that they picked, right? So if you're mad at anybody, I go right back to what Daniel said. They picked him. They chose him as the second string quarterback. They brought in Boyle. We are here today with questions about personnel, questions about who's getting playing time, questions about the offense and the quarterback because of Joe Douglas and Bob Saleh. You cannot give them a break when they picked the guy, chose the roster, and we are here maybe going to win 1 to 5 games this year. 5, I think, would be on the high end because of the personnel decisions that they made. So that's my thought. Liz, sorry. I went a long time.
Let Zach Wilson rest. Please let him rest. He needs rest, Liz. What do you think?
I think that it's almost like Boyle. Boyle, I got him on the mind. It's almost like Joe Douglas and Bob Saleh were like, no, just give me another minute. Give me another second to prove you wrong that Zach Wilson is going to be who we want him to be. It's almost like they don't want to be wrong about it. And enough, we can't let the season go any further with, trying to stroke their egos that, no, they didn't make the wrong decision. No, that's bullcrap. The kid needs more experience, more something. He needs something, but it's not to practice on the field during a key game. We're going to be playing Mahomes. The only thing I know about this kid is his dad played for the Mets a million years ago. but he's a solid quarterback. And like you said, 1 sack since the beginning of the season. Come on. That'll never happen with the Jets if we keep going the way we're going. And, I don't want.
Did you mute her? Did her microphone go out? I can't hear it.
Liz? Liz.
Liz, I think your microphone went out. I don't know if she can hear us either.
Oh man.
I'll
Well,
put something in the chat. Go ahead, pick up. I'll see if I can catch her.
yeah, no, well, yeah, I'll go ahead right there and remove her and then bring her back, see if that triggers it. Liz, are you there? Can we hear you? No, yeah, you might have to jump out. You might have to get out and come back in, right? Get out and come back in, Liz. Get out and come back in. So, all right, so we'll remove her. But I mean, I think she's right though, Kevin. When you think about this football team, and that's why we call it fair here on Jets Guru. Like we really, really do. Like I am the biggest Joe Douglas fan, but the mistake has come back to haunt you, unfortunately, and now you're living with it. But the problem I have with it, Kevin, is that we saw when the running back went down, he went out and got someone like James Robinson. He's gone out and got players before. And this is the most important season that we've seen in a long time. And I don't think it could just be wasted and thrown away in the hopes that, yeah, Rodgers is going to come back or, they're not going to shake up the roster too bad if Rodgers is back, or we can't really evaluate the team fully unless Rodgers is here. These are all excuses. And if you really think about it, and we've discussed it, Kevin, there's other teams that just have better fail safes than the Jets. Like you look at Tua, if Tua is to go down, they went out and got Mike White like right away, and there was a reason for that because I think Mike White showed his toughness. And there's something to be said about that in the brand of football that he plays. The thing I liked about Mike White so much is that he stepped up into the pocket, took the hit, but he also delivered the football. And if you think about the success that Garrett Wilson had last year, it wasn't with Zach Wilson. Garrett Wilson won Rookie of the Year with Joe Flacco and Mike White and company. It wasn't because of Zach Wilson. And so your biggest weapon is not being exploited by your quarterback. And that's really scary to me, right? Because you've seen Garrett Wilson go off with other quarterbacks. And look at the style of play that those quarterbacks played. It wasn't movement pocket quarterbacks that roll inside and outside. It was guys who stand in the pocket and throw the football. And that's what the Jets need. They don't need a savior. They don't need someone to come in and throw 3 touchdowns a game. They need someone to manage the game. And when there's a mistake to be had, take advantage of it. And there were a lot of mistakes to be had. The Patriots defense was not perfect. The Patriots defense was missing 2 cornerbacks in that game and 2 defensive linemen. So the advantages that the offensive line, that the Jets defense had, it's the same on the other side of the football as well. Only you were at home. Only you are the quarterback that was supposed to be number 2 on this roster. And you were supposed to show me that there was a difference, and there wasn't. And you went out and got Trevor Siemian just to really just kind of shut people up. It's like when you have a company and you have a certain team or something, you have it there just in case a question is asked. Well, do you have that? And it's like, yeah, we have a whole team that's dedicated. But are you really putting anything towards that? Like Kevin said, Trevor Siemian played when Colin Kaepernick played. You're telling me right now, just remove headlines out of it. You're trying to win football games. Would you rather have Kaepernick or Trevor Siemian? I'm going with Kaepernick all day. And if you're going with Trevor Siemian over Kaepernick, you're crazy. And there's just so many other options that I'd rather go with than Trevor Siemian. And then there's just no effort to make a trade at all. And I'm not saying go out and get Kirk Cousins and, because it's just you already have a polarizing figure. You already have Aaron Rodgers on the sideline talking to Kirk Cousins. I don't know. It just doesn't seem right to me. But you couldn't go out and try to get a Jacoby Brissett who could be a long-term backup to Aaron Rodgers. So not only the backup this year, but next year, so he could be around and develop within the playbook. So even if you were to say, okay, listen, we're still not ready to give up on Zach, but we want to get a veteran quarterback in here that can actually win us some games if need be. You're so worried that if you brought a guy like Brissett in, that he would fracture someone like Zach Wilson, well, then he has no shot to win here. He has no shot to win at all if that's the case. If Jacoby Brissett can overtake him and shatter his confidence, and it's like, hey, kid, you know what? Listen, you weren't even supposed to be playing right now, to be honest with you. Still got a lot to learn. So we're going to bring Jacoby in here because we got to win games just like last year. This isn't an indictment on you. This is an indictment on us because we know that he wasn't supposed to play week 1. LaFleur came out and said, we really didn't. We just had to, in a sense. Okay, so you started the guy before he was able to. You put him in the line of fire. He wasn't able to develop. You exposed him. You knocked his confidence down. This is what the Jets did to Zach Wilson. What Zach Wilson did in return is give you play that has regressed. Pull up the tape on Zach Wilson from his rookie year. Pull up the tape from Zach Wilson in that Tennessee game. He's not the same quarterback. He's just not. He is a stripped down version of that quarterback. His biggest asset was rolling outside of the pocket and throwing because he had the legs and he had the arm talent. Now he looks hesitant. He looks hesitant to throw the ball in the pocket and outside the pocket. He has trouble stepping up in the pocket. That's something that he never really learned to do. And like Kevin said earlier, he doesn't take advantage. They don't take advantage of what Zach Wilson can do well. Where the hell is Mecole Hardman on this football team? It's really pissing me off. You've got a burner that you don't use. You've got a weapon in Garrett Wilson that you don't use. I don't care if you throw 18 bubble screens to Garrett Wilson. Get him the football. Do you think that the Minnesota Vikings, it doesn't matter. Go check out the Minnesota Vikings. It doesn't matter if they're winning the game by 30 or if they're losing by 30. Guess who's getting the ball? Justin Jefferson. Guess who's throwing him the ball? Kirk Cousins. And he's throwing that ball up. And sometimes that football doesn't always look well. And sometimes that football gets picked off. But you know what? You got to have confidence in your player, Garrett Wilson, that he's going to go and get that ball. That Lazard's going to go and get that ball. That Mecole Hardman's going to break through that second level. And by the time that ball drops in, he's going to be there to get it. Because if you don't, you are running a vanilla offense that stifles your run, puts pressure on your offensive line, and Zach Wilson's running into pressure. And as an offensive lineman, what am I doing here? Am I blocking for a quarterback that's dropping straight back and coming into the pocket? That's a completely different blocking technique than a guy that's running to the right and the left. Then what am I doing? Then I'm spinning around. Dude, it is an absolute mess on offense. And then you have the defense taking over the team at the 45, the 35. The Jets aren't getting that luxury. The Jets are getting the ball at the 15, the 16, the 2-yard line, right? So it's really, really hard for this football team to get rolling. So this is how I look at it, Kevin. Can we throw this up here? I don't know if this – can you see this?
31-17 maybe?
31-17. That is going to be the score of this game. Okay, Chiefs, by the way, if we didn't know, because that Mr. Mahomes, the Daddy Mahomes, Pat Mahomes, he had a man child, a caramel child. Okay, that at the end of the days, when you put the top caramels on the Rushmore of caramels, you're gonna have Drake. Okay, you're gonna have Steph Curry. Okay, and you're definitely gonna have Patrick Mahomes on that caramel Mount Rushmore of all time. This guy is electric. He is everything that we hope Zach Wilson would be. Does he make mistakes? Of course he does. But he also does so many things that are so much better. And you're really going to get to see a really good quarterback that will struggle, I believe, at times in this game, because I do believe in this Jets defense. I do believe that they will bend, don't break, even under the worst circumstances where teams almost double up on the play calls most of the time, because it's just absolutely ridiculous that the offense can't sustain any drives in this damn game. And that is just a recipe for disaster if you're giving Mahomes the ball at the 35, the 45. And they also have a kicker in Bucher that can kick really well. So fantasy-wise, if I would definitely be starting him. This is going to get bad, okay? And if the Jets somehow win this game, I will eat every word. I will say Zach Wilson is my dad, all sorts of stuff, anything you want me to say, okay? But I'm a betting man, and I do pretty well. And I would just say here that it's not going to be good. I expect a hard-fought game going into halftime, like you see most games. But then eventually, if you're not pushing the issue, if you're not stretching the field, it makes it a lot easier to call plays. And then once the Jets are down, let's say by 10 points, then the defense could just start pinning their ears back, going after Zach Wilson, and then testing him, pushing him in and out, faking, zoning out, and just confusing the hell out of him. I think the linebacker, I forgot his name. I think it's Bolton. I'm not sure. He hasn't logged any practice reps, I think, this week. I didn't check today. He might be out. I really don't think it's going to make that big of a difference. So what I'm looking for the Jets in this game is I'm looking at the offensive line, Kevin. They had a good game, I think, in pass coverage, considering that Zach Wilson didn't do them any favors. And like you suggested too, there was a couple drop balls by Cobb, Lazard, and company, that didn't do them any favors. I want to see another consistent game, right? If they could come out and they could grade out in the high 60s and the mid 70s, and for some of these guys who were even in the 80s, that's what I want to see. Show me some consistency. This is game 4. If you could get better in pass protection, Zach Wilson has to step up in that pocket. It's not supposed to be clean. It's the NFL. You have your 2.5 seconds to throw the football. These guys are right there. You're not supposed to have 4 or 5 seconds to throw the football. That's a luxury. Get rid of the football. So I want to see the offensive line put up. And that's the one thing I love, Kevin, about offensive line metrics. They look at the technique. They look at the amount of time that the quarterback holds the football. It's not just like, oh, well, Becton got beat on the corner or Titnick got beat up the middle. It's not as cut as dry as that. The way the quarterback plays, the type of offense that Hackett is like Kevin pointed out, is giving to Zach Wilson. Okay, so we know he sucks. Now, what are you going to do about it? What does he do best? Listen, Tim Tebow sucked for the first 3 quarters, but in the 4th quarter, they just kind of did whatever he did best, which is like run with the football and then just wear people down. Well, what does Zach do best? He design rollouts. How about that? Why is the kid always rolling out when he's running for his life or he doesn't see the field well after his 3rd read? Like, just design rollout takeoff, Zach. I don't care. Just take off. Do something. So 31-17 Chiefs. This is where the disaster starts. You're going to see a lot of chirping on the sideline. This is Sunday Night Football. This is all their friends and peers are watching. Hey, dog, you got to do something about Zach Wilson. They're texting them. They get home. There's 30 texts. Dude, Zach Wilson sucks. Zach Wilson sucks. Even though we know it's bigger than Zach Wilson, this is not going to be good. Guys, what do you got?
We got you this time, Liz. You go.
24-17 Jets. I can't. One of these days I'm going to be right, and you guys are going to eat your words.
I hope so, man. I hope so every damn week, man. I hope so every week. Man, the Jets are we faced the Bills, who was one of the top NFL, right? Top 3 defenses last year.
And we beat them.
And we beat them. We faced Dallas, who was at the time the number 1 defense in the NFL, right? Then we faced the Patriots, who are a top 5 defense in the AFC. Now we face the number 6 defense in the NFL. I don't know. I don't think people, just because Kansas City is always good, like, you don't notice how good they are. And Dan, Mr. Guru over there was trying to give you a heads up. But, man, they're better defensively. They're better than they were last year. I'm not even exaggerating, right? I mean, they got 2 guys with 2.5 sacks, both ends, and they got Chris Jones against Guru's favorite guy, McGovern, right? You want to put Chris Jones against McGovern? This is just not a good matchup. And then you got Kelsey and Taylor Swift on the scoreboard, probably more than Jetman and Fireman Ed. They're probably going to have Taylor Swift on the scoreboard more than Fireman Ed this freaking game.
And the bad thing is, it's not even going to be rooting for our team.
Right? It's going to be people are going to go insane every time Kelsey catches a pass. Not even a touchdown, a pass. The place is going to explode. It's just not it's one of those games where they set the Jets up on national media to be the Jets. Like they literally set them up and is like, we want you just be on national TV and do Jets-like stuff with Taylor Swift in the audience. How awesome would that be? The NFL is like licking their chops. Like, give us a butt fumble in front of Taylor Swift. That's what we want to see. Give it to the Jets. I just feel this is one of those 30-10, just like Daniel said, man. This is one of those games where the Jets do Jet things on national TV so that they can play Taylor Swift highlights for free on ESPN and NFL Network all week long. And it's good for Taylor Swift, too. She gets free advertising like she needs it. So I got the Jets 30-10, the highlight of the game. And Liz and I have talked about this on social media. At halftime, I'm going to be positive for 1 second. Joe Klecko will be honored at halftime. So if that's the best part of the game, that might be the best part of the game. I'm hoping Liz is right, and it's not. We get some pick sixes, some fumble, and Wilson figures it out against an elite D. But if not, let's get behind Klecko, finally in the Hall of Fame. So many Jets fans have been waiting for this man to be in the Hall of Fame. He will be there. He will be part of the halftime experience. At least get out there and root for one of the Jets' greats, because we should all be behind Klecko, who deserved being in the Hall of Fame a long, long time ago.
That's right. I think there's going to be a little bit of magic in the stadium. And, Joe Klecko is going to be there. And a lot of it's the legacy game. And we're going to be on the field formation of the number 73, wearing our Klecko jerseys. And I think something magical is going to happen other than that on Sunday Night Football. So I think you guys just should buckle up and be prepared, because something good is going to happen besides me being on the field again during halftime.
No, Liz, that is the only thing that is going to be good about that football game, and the fact that you guys get to actually watch Patrick Mahomes, which, if you're an NFL fan, that's an absolute treat, to go see one of the best do what they do. Again,
maybe the best ever, right? Mahomes might be one of the best ever.
Yeah, it could be. And, I hope that this game actually exposes people for who they are, if that's the case. And I really hope that Saleh and Joe Douglas respond in a truthful way, because, there's no way you could keep going out there and telling people that this is our guy when they did this last year and put Chris Streveler in, dog. You just can't do, like, you just can't. Now, I can understand a couple games, right? It's like, come on, man. We got to give the guy a couple games. He's a professional. You can't tell me Trevor Siemian is better than Zach Wilson. He's just not. So that's why I just didn't like this whole thing. They're playing games like the old Jets regime used to do, and I just don't like it. I don't like the PC garbage. Okay, call it like you see it. Everybody knows how it is. You're not fooling anybody. It's like, when you're at work and it's like, you got, when really it's like, just say what it is so we all know where we stand and we can move on in a positive direction, because all this passive aggressive nature just makes you look foolish. And then who takes the brunt of it? Us, the fans. We're at work and our coworkers are abusing us, and our family and our friends, and we waste our hard-earned money that we barely have enough of it. Right? Because we're teachers, and teachers don't make a lot of money. Okay. So now, please, I can't do this anymore. Kevin, we spoke about this already. How many quarterbacks we've been through. I can't do this anymore. And we're going to have to do it again. Right? At least if I had a Super Bowl, I was going to be happy enough where, okay, we could go through it again. I was 26 years old. The last time the Jets are good, I turned 39 this year. Don't tell me I need to be patient, Mr. 21-year-old Garrett Wilson. You don't know nothing about nothing, okay, when it comes to that fandom stuff, all right? So when you spend your whole youth rooting for a team and wasting hard-earned money and all this other kind of stuff on this team, that calls you a couch potato when you have a 48 pass blocking grade as a center, okay? I'm not letting that go because I'm not a couch potato and I lift weights 3 days a week and I work out, okay? So don't play me, Mr. McGovern. I'm not letting it go. All right, but you're going to start seeing a different side of Jets Guru from here on out if this don't shape up, because I call it how I see it. I do not sugarcoat things, and I'm not coming with cursing or nonsense or talking about people's families or who they're dating. I'm just strictly talking football. Okay, that's it. So thank you so much for tuning in. I know we have YouTube that's tuning in. You guys are amazing. Thank you, Facebook. Thank you for tuning in on Spotify. You guys are putting in so much time and effort consuming Jets media, watching Jets media. We want to see better than a 12-year drought from a team that plays in New York City, baby. Come on. This is nonsense. I don't want to hear it no more. So until I see a better product on the field, or at least an offense, pull up the stats right now. The Jets are last in every offensive category. Zach Wilson is last in every offensive category nearly. I need to see a professional NFL offense on the field this week. Okay, here we go. Score 17 points, but make it look all right. Don't make it look like some drag where you score because the defense is playing a soft zone and then you score one touchdown. Like, all right, just tighten it up a little bit. And then it's back to garbage. Show me something. Game 4, show me something. All right. So JETS, Jets. Woo. I'll see you in the game thread. Jets Guru out.